a big hello to our Highlights Foundation family. We're so happy to have you with us here today. For those that may not know me, I'm Kat Galliano. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the social media manager for the Highlights Foundation, joining you from Westchester, New York, and the traditional lands of the Siwanoy people. Apart from all the very fun things I get to do at the Highlights Foundation, I am also a writer and a reader who is very excited to welcome our friends and faculty, Sarah Aronson, Daria Peoples, and Chris Tebbetts. They are the team behind Just Do It, your collaborative support group for finishing your first draft, spring and summer edition, starting on April 17th. But before we dive in, I just want to remind our viewers that joining in on any Highlights Foundation sessions to do so with no hate, no harm, and no harassment of any kind. And now let's get started. So my very first question is, can you remember a specific time in your own creative journeys that a draft was really tough to complete? Can you describe that experience and what helped you get to the finish line?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and jump in and answer that first. Well, let me begin by saying that every first draft I've written has been challenging. I don't know if that's the case for everyone, but I think the hardest one was my very first one that I wrote for my debut picture book. It took about 3 years to crank out that first draft, and I think there's less than 200 words in the book. But I think back on that time and looking over it, and I think some things that helped are, number one, I knew I was telling the right story. I think that's really important. I hadn't written anything as good as that, but it just needed to be molded, and the first needed to be much more purposeful than the original idea was. I think the second thing that really, really helped was that I was patient. I learned how to be patient with myself, and also patient with the people who were helping me with the first draft. I think, sometimes we get so impatient when we send something to someone and we want their feedback right away, and they're trying to feed their children or something. So we have to be patient with ourselves and with the people who are part of our creative journey. And I think the last thing is just this faith that if I just kept going, that everything was going to work out.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I could not agree more on all of those things. Like, first, could you teach me a little bit about patience? Because I can use that lesson. But also faith that you're in the right place, faith that you're on the right journey, faith that you are the person to tell the story. And when you're in a community, you get that faith because you have other people boosting you up. And it's so important that none of us feel like we have to do this alone.
And can I just jump in and just add that anybody who's familiar with this course that we've done before, Just Do It, what's brand new this time around is Daria's presence as an illustrator. We're adding a whole new layer to the course, and we're really excited about that. Thank you so much for being with us on this one, Daria.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to join.
Thank you for also sharing that the first draft, no matter if it's your first story that you're kind of cranking out or if it's your 20th story, thank you for sharing that. All of that is really hard. Like, no matter what process you're in, it's still really hard just to get started, which why we encourage all of you to, sign up if you want to get that draft done.
I mean, finishing a draft is all about taking chances. And when we taking chances, real by yourself is so hard. But when you have a circle of friends around you, taking chances feels like a fun dare, or maybe less scary.
Ooh, I love that. A fun dare. Ooh, I love that. You know what? I've been thinking actually that I have this draft that I've been working on where I've kind of been tinkering, and I'm like, maybe I should just be like a ghost student in this class and just sort of audit it and just like get my draft done. Because like the whole outline is written, but I kind of need group support. You know what? If you see my ghost name just there, just know that I'm also there, but not there.
The answer to everything is just do it.
So you might see me on April. So, but my second question is, Chris, I love the blog that you wrote for us last year about shifting negative self-talk to constructive ideas in order to make progress. We're all guilty of that negative self-talk sometimes. But I love that this course really focuses on positivity and consistency to move forward. Can you tell me about how positivity and play is part of your own personal beliefs? And this one's for all of you.
Sure. Um, I am a real pragmatist. So anytime I run a workshop, anytime I go to a workshop, I want takeaway tools and I want the things that we're doing to be for a reason and a reason that feeds the story that I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very practical about the idea of maintaining a positive mindset. I
Mm-hmm.
talk about in that article you referenced, I talk about the what I call the reverse golden rule, which is to say it's very easy for us when, say, a friend comes and says, I'm having a hard time with the draft, to be encouraging, even honestly encouraging. I'm a big fan of clear-eyed optimism, as I call it, which is to say not putting on the rose-colored glasses, but being practical about the way positivity can help us get the work done. And a lot of writers can tend to not give ourselves the same consideration. So there's
Mm-hmm.
something very practical about being a friend to ourselves in the process, while at the same time, I am the guy who also, sometimes we hear people talking about like, oh, I'm not getting enough work done. I don't know why I don't get the writing done. And the response very often is, take it easy on yourself. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
always going to say that. Sometimes, as I say in that article also, a great coach will push somebody, but they will be tough, but they will never make it personal. So the goals that we build into this class are never about, improving ourselves as productive people or as writers so much as it is about things that we can do. Can we set a certain amount of time or a number of pages? Can we, work together as a community to figure out ways to sort of hack into our own productivity, like the writing sprints that we discovered last year with Just Do It.
Mm-hmm.
We do these, 1 hour every day on Zoom writing sprints. And I haven't even begun to talk about play, but Sarah is actually the play maven, so I'll let her pick it up from there.
Way is the way. I will say it 10,000 times. I cannot wait to sit in on Daria's studio workshops and pick up my pencil and my paintbrush. And one of the things that I have realized about play for me is that play is an act of defiance. It's an act of no expectations. It means I am going to intentionally make this work fun. And so I am an explorer. I experiment, and I'm going to ask all of you to do that with me. And actually, that is when we get away from our concerns and our fears, when we don't let fear drive the bus, as it so often does when we're always looking on social media. I am guilty. That when we can play, when we can access that child's eye, that spirit of exploration and discovery, then, oh my gosh, everybody starts finding new ideas and we lose that vulnerability and amp up the willingness to try new things. And for me, that's gold in this group because we're all doing it together in those sprints, in the brainstorms, in the discussions, all these kinds of things that we're going to do. We say yes to everything. Warning, we say yes.
Yeah, I think play looks different to everybody in a different way. I think you have to find, what kind of play you like. I think that it's a challenge sometimes for artists to find things that feel playful if they're not working to create something that, they have like pre-designed in their ideas to already, they have their medium that they like, so I even have to encourage myself to go outside my comfort zone when it comes to mediums and that sort of thing. I also think play includes taking walks and doing yoga and, maybe exercising. I think play, if you are a painter, maybe it's putting your hands in clay. If you're a writer, maybe it's taking out the watercolors and crayons and drawing. So I do think that we have to allow ourselves time to play. We don't always think that might translate into something on paper, and that's the misbelief that we have to disregard during time because we're opening up new spaces in our mind, new ideas in our mind, and you might not be making the connections immediately, but you will see them come into fruition at some point during your draft.
I'm going
That's
to
amazing.
second the dancing. I'm going to second the dancing in the comments. I always say,
Yes,
I think part of what I'm hearing in Daria is, dancing around the house, which I do a lot, as part of my creative process.
Yes.
It lets us let go of the need to be attached to the outcome. And if we can then bring that to the page or to the canvas, that same mindset, it's a great translation.
It's a,
The dancing also helps you like key into the moment and
yeah.
your own joy. And when you're feeling joyful, you're going to feel more confident, and then you're going to try new things. I always try, every year I make a goal to do one thing that I think or that I know I'm going to stink at, because that takes all the pressure off of me.
Yeah.
And I find those creative pursuits to lead right into discovery and epiphany.
Yeah. Well, we might have some dance breaks then, or some dance offs, you know.
Always.
I love that idea. And just for those that are wondering, the article that Chris was mentioning, it's one of our blog posts. So I'll make sure to put that on our website and our socials. Not our website, our socials. So just so everyone can find it easily. But I just loved everything you commented on today. And yeah, writing is such a lonely thing. So the fact that this group exists and that we're there to cheer each other on and hold each other's hands and really kind of get messy and get that first draft done, because it is supposed to be messy. It's just we need to get it to the end. And I think, personally speaking, as a writer, because for those that may not know, I'm also, obviously, I get to work at Highlights, but I'm also a writer. And then my background is also journalism. So I used to write for TV. That was sort of my background. But I am just so kind of illusion with the idea of joining this group, because this draft that I've had, the outline has been ready for so long, but every time I go to sit and do it, I'm just kind of like, maybe I'll just like delete the word again and go back. And then, and then I know I don't move forward. So it's like the momentum, that's what I need. So I feel like me as the writer, speaking to all of you writers and illustrators and people wanting to do the thing, you know what? If I'm encouraged, I think this should encourage all of you too. And my third and final question, which I'm so sad we're coming to the end already, is this class has a Discord group as a component, which of course is optional, but also different from most of our classes. What goes on in the group and how do people use it as a tool for the course?
So I'm going to answer this question in a couple of different ways. One, yes, it's optional. And if all you need for your process right now is to listen to lectures and get the writing prompts that happen on the Canvas classroom, that's great. But I'm going to dare everyone to take a step forward. I know technology is stinky. I know it can be an obstacle. I know it can trigger your vulnerability. We will help you. We'll help you get on the Discord board, because this is what happens on the Discord board. Conversation. That's not time specific. Most classes that I take or teach look like a triangle. The teacher's at the top and everybody else is underneath. But this class is a circle. And so the best way to join that circle is to get on that Discord board where we're going to be talking about all kinds of things and scheduling things that you want. You can bring up anything on that Discord board, and your peers, as well as us, will be able to answer and encourage you. When you are on that board, you might feel vulnerable. Well, we feel vulnerable all the time, but you're not going to be alone anymore. You're going to have lots of people who are going to be able to brainstorm, talk about books, talk about writing, do the prompts, do book talks, whatever it is that fuels your process. So yes, tech, just ask us for help. Take risks, join the community, be part of the circle. This is why the Discord board is just magic in this class. There are so many people who've taken this class who have established lifelong friendships because of the work that they've done and the openness that they have felt and experienced and contributed. You know everything we know. You are writers, you are illustrators, you are creative people and artists. Please, we need you. Join in.
I don't know if anyone wants to add to that.
The only thing I can thing to add to that is that we also create accountability pods, as we call them, small groups within the course. And another thing that Discord allows us to do is to create private rooms for affinity groups or accountability pods, people who can, within the course, have private conversations on the Discord as well.
I've never been on Discord before, so I'll be a brand new person with all the others that are brand new. But I'm looking forward to it. I think the most important thing, well, when you're doing first draft, is there has to be some level of commitment that you're going to make this the main thing in your life for this season. Like, oh, it can't be the fourth or fifth priority on your list. It needs to be one or two on the top of your list. And I think having access to people 24/7 helps that process. If you are really setting this time aside to finish this draft.
I love that. It's beautiful. That's beautiful. Really, let's put our commitments together. Let's go for it.
Let's make it our priority this season. I love that. And it almost like the Discord, it makes the class and the group a little more 3D, because it's almost like you have access to each other a little bit more than like the timed, Zoom meeting every week and whatnot. So I love that the Discord component is part of this class. Well, that is all my questions. Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up?
I'm not a big, like a lot of writers, I don't love to toot my own horn, but I've never taught something. I've taught a lot of highlights, and I've never taught something before that really gets at we can talk about writing all we like, but we still got to get the button chair. Mm-hmm. And if I'm being honest, I've never seen a class that really helps people do it the way this one does.
Oh, wow.
Bet on yourself. Bet on yourself, people. Believe in yourself. Trust yourself. Trust others.
Yeah.
This is where we can get the work done.
Yeah, and we're not asking you to do anything that we're ourselves to do. We're right there in it with you. I'm starting a new draft of a new project, and so I want to go through those growing pains with you, and I would like to finish. That's my goal. I want to finish that. Yeah. So I want people to join who want and have the desire to finish. Yeah.
Well, I'm already hooked. I'm just gonna have to tell programming that they may just have an extra little box on that Zoom starting soon. So I may just see you in a couple of weeks because I have that draft that needs to get done. So if you're not encouraged by this, I don't know what's going on, because I am super encouraged by this. So, but if you'd like to learn more from Daria, Chris, and Sarah, along with special guests Mira Trahan and Jamie Adolph, please make sure to sign up to Just Do It, your collaborative support group for finishing your draft starting on April 17th. You can register on our website, highlightsfoundation.org. And lastly, you can purchase Chris, Sarah, and Daria's books at our virtual bookshop powered by bookshop.org. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Daria, for joining us today. And we cannot wait to see you online and on the Discord.